In a blog I wrote a few years ago, I made a proposal for a hypothetical run of Wonder Woman comics. And when it comes down to the Wonder Woman character, as I see it, there is a desperate need for a rebuild on that character. The Wonder Woman character, as it stands right now, is one of those characters that you see her in a group or you see her image and you remember it, but you don't really see a story behind her. You don't really get a voice when you read her, and you really don't get a sense of her because things in the world have pretty much changed. When I thought about the Wonder Woman character, I said to myself, you know, we live in a society that's completely different than the one um, Charles Moulton lived in back in the 1940s. Back in the 1940s, women were in an incredibly submissive role, but I have a proposal. In my proposal, I was wondering what would be the purpose of a Wonder Woman in a post-feminist society, and really, that's the kind of story that I want to tell if I ever got the chance to write a Wonder Woman comic. Because I look at today's society, and it's a very different place, and really, I want to tell a story where we find out how Wonder Woman would fit in a post-feminist society. Because in today's society, everything is completely different. I mean, a lot of the goals that the Amazons um, we're out to aspire to do have been pretty much been accomplished in American society. I mean, right now we have two women, Hillary Clinton and Carly Fiorina, running for president of the United States. We have multiple female CEOs. We have many women working in jobs. And we have women like the most recent women's soccer team who have gone out and set out and accomplished goals. So I want to set out to create a mission, with my hypothetical run. I wanted to say, where would Wonder Woman fit in a post feminist society, and what would be her mission in a post feminist society? That was the question that I proposed to ask. And I would answer it like this, just like there are, strong women who are good, there are also strong women who are bad. And Wonder Woman's job is to protect society, from these types of, women who are not acting in the best interests of either men or women. And she would also be a symbol, of what it would be to be a strong female leader. And that's something that I would want to put into the character. And I would also, try to contemporize some things and update some things regarding Paradise Island. Right now, I feel that there's too much focus on these Amazon warriors who sit around and all they do is plan battle strategies all day. I would like to go back to a Silver Age concept of it being a bit of a utopia. I want to focus a little bit more on STEM, bring back things like the Purple Ray and the Invisible Jet, and show, women who are scientists and inventors and doctors, and really make the comic a bit more, science oriented. Um, and that I feel that that should be a big component of it. And I also want to do some contemporary action and adventure, make stuff a little bit more relatable regarding the character. And I also really want to focus on the character's voice and the character's mission, um, because I really look at the character and she's a very good character. But again, I really want to focus on this post-feminist society because we have a society that's completely different, and that's why the Wonder Woman comic really struggles in terms of sales. When it comes down to the book, the stories are either these Amazon type stories, or they just are these stories that are pretty much lost. And the reason why that they're pretty much lost is again because they're not relatable to readers of today, girls of today, or the issues of women today. And really, you want to get the book back on track to being focused on the issues of women today, and seeing that just like there are, you know, good strong women, there are also bad strong women, and there are people that we have to protect ourselves from. And this is something that I have work done in my own stories because I write a lot of strong women in my stories, and that's why I feel like I would be a good fit for the character because a lot of people when they read my stories featuring female characters, they're surprised that a man could write women the way I do. And I have received, a lot of positive feedback on novels that I've done featuring women, like your Cassandra Cookbook. This was a story about a strong woman who took the lead and and helped her parents um, make a business deal between herself and a corporation. A lot of women pretty much love this All About Marilyn. This screenplay I wrote featuring the struggles of an African American actress. This is one of the most popular stories I have ever produced featuring a woman. A lot of women tell me they are they love how strong this character is and how much strength of character she has on the inside, and they identify with this woman. Black, white, women of all races and all over the world love the Marilyn Marie character, and they love her strength of character. They love her confidence. They love her energy. And then there's this book, The Thetas, where I talk about an African American sorority. And this is one of the books that was one of the ideas that got me the idea to come up with the idea for the run for the Wonder Woman comic. In this book, I was writing about a sorority, and I really want to incorporate some of those sorority concepts into the Wonder Woman character and Paradise Island, especially Paradise Island. I really want to bring sorority into it because sorority is a Greek concept. It's a concept about sisterhood and women working together and being together and networking and sharing with each other. And this was a book where I really worked on that concept and explored it. And again, women love this book. Women all over the world love this book, and it's one of my better sellers. And again, this was another book that women say that they're surprised that a man can write women so well. And there are other books that I have done featuring female characters, like the ISIS series. I actually decided, because I can't write Wonder Woman stories legally, I took a lot of the concepts that I was going to use for the Wonder Woman character and I incorporated it into the ISIS series. So many of the ISIS series stories were going to be Wonder Woman stories. And one example of that is ISIS The Ultimate Fight. Now, ISIS The Ultimate Fight was a story where it was originally planned to be a Wonder Woman story. And it was supposed to be a story that featured the Greek goddess Nemesis and the MMA. And I always said that, MMA there should have been an MMA villain in Wonder Woman. That's a no-brainer. It's something that should have been done. I mean, the Amazon warriors they're the fiercest and toughest fighters out there, and you would think one of them would try to go out and go do some MMA. And I always said that that's a no-brainer. That's an easy sell because UFC, that really relates to today's culture, and that people, they love UFC. And why isn't there a Wonder Woman comic featuring some type of UFC theme or UFC type theme? And that's why I came up with the idea for this story. And I said, I can't do Wonder Woman comics for real, so I did it as an ISIS series story. And again, it's a very popular, one of the more popular ISIS series stories. And it's a story about ISIS overcoming this bully, the Greek goddess Nemesis, because she's trying to bully her and harass her, and then she finally has to stand up for herself, and she's standing up to protect somebody else who she had threatened. And that was one of the reasons why I did the story, because I thought it would just be great to show how to overcome a bully, and that was one of the reasons why I did the Ultimate Fight. But I always wanted to it was the idea was inspired by a Wonder Woman concept, and that was something that I really wanted to present, because I always thought MMA and Wonder Woman, that's a no-brainer. That's something, again, DC Comics should have done way back in the early 2000s. I mean, MMA is one of the most popular things out there, and you would think you would have had a Wonder Woman comic, featuring MMA or some type of MMA storyline in some way, shape, or form. But I had a lot of ideas for Wonder Woman stories, and I wound up turning them into ISIS series stories instead, because I figure I'm not being paid to write that character, and the only way I'm going to do a character that I like is if I'm paid to do it. But I always wanted to write this character because I always saw a new direction that the character could go in, and I really wanted to do something that was socially relevant with the character. I mean, what I'm doing with the ISIS series right now, again, I do this character also for the same reason, but I also wanted to do the Wonder Woman character for the same reason, to make a strong female heroine. And here we have the first strong female heroine, which is Wonder Woman. And unfortunately, these days she's just getting lost in the pack. I mean, behind Batgirl, Supergirl, Harley Quinn. Most people know all those female characters when it comes down to comics, but with the Wonder Woman character, she's become a bit of an afterthought. Yes, she's a strong, powerful woman, but there's no personality, there's no voice, there's nothing that really, stands out. And I really believe that the only way to make the character stand out is by redefining her for this post-feminist society, and showing that what she represents as a hero in a post-feminist society. The character, as I see it, again, needs to be, the roots and the concepts are there, are perfect. The origin and stuff like that. I want to go back to that clay origin and all that stuff, because I see a lot of stuff that works there, but it just has to be updated and contemporized for new readers today. And when it comes down to the Rogues Gallery, I really want to modify some things. Like, there are some certain concepts I would do differently, like Giganta's origin. I would just change that completely, from this woman who was a gorilla into more of a petite woman with height issues and insecurities. That would do something like that. And some of the other villains I would pretty much keep the same. And there was one villain I really would like to work with, which is the Dr. Cyber villain. I believe she would work very well in comics today. I believe that she has a great voice and a great personality, because I went up and I picked up the Diana Prince Wonder Woman trade paperbacks. It's a great character, and I believe that she could be updated and brought in. Some of the ideas I had for the Dr. Cyber character I used in this book, Isis Wrath of the Cyber Goddess. I wound up with my ideas for revamping the character, I wound up applying them here. And this is part of a two-part storyline, which starts in this book, Isis the Beauty Myth, and it concludes in Wrath of the Cyber Goddess. And the concept for the new Dr. Cyber inspired was what I applied in this story. But both books are, they were my ideas for a concept for a Dr. Cyber revamp. But I look at the character and I see a lot of potential for the character, and the character could be, updated to become relevant. Now, I know a lot of people they say that I trash DC Comics and I'm always attacking Dan Dido, but I see a lot of potential for these characters, and with the right storyteller, the characters could be made fresh and new. And I look at the Wonder Woman character, and she really needs to be updated for the 21st century, because she was a 20th century concept. She came up in the 40s, and ever since, and from what I've seen, just looking at various Wonder Woman comics and various covers, the reason why the character struggles these days is, again, because the world has really changed around her, and everything is completely different. When she came out, women were almost second-class citizens in this country, and now these days, women in many cases surpass quite a few men in certain cases. And when we live in a world where we have two women on the Democrat and Republican side running for president, then we really need to, any publisher will sit there and say, we really need to reevaluate the Wonder Woman character, because yes, she's in the movie, but she's in the background behind Batman and Superman. She should be up at the forefront. I mean, this Wonder Woman movie you think would be a no-brainer, but everybody's, they're struggling with how to work with this character, because they really don't understand, how to make this work. Now, I've worked with female characters for almost 20 years, and many readers who read my books really enjoy the female characters I write and design. So I would like to get an opportunity to write this character and, update her and make her fresh for the 21st century. I mean, I really look at, guys who have done great jobs of revamping characters and refreshing characters, like the team of Chris Claremont and John Byrne on the X-Men, David Michelin and Bob Layton on Iron Man. And I look at, most recently, Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's work on Daredevil, and how they took a character that was struggling to find an audience, and then they revamped that character. They took existing elements that worked, and made them fresh and new again. And that's something I would like to do with the Wonder Woman character. And also, there's something else I would like to do, which is totally revamp this Wonder Girl character. Now, if everybody knows the Donna Troy Wonder Woman, well, not Wonder Woman, but Wonder Girl, she has one of the worst histories in all of comics. And I wrote about this I synopsized this in a blog just recently. And what I wrote was, a basic, simplified, brand new origin for Wonder Girl, because I know about some writers said that she was Wonder Woman as a girl. Others came in and said she was a reflection of Wonder Woman. Um, and it's just a jumbled mess. And I really would like to come in and simplify this, and make it as easy to understand as the origin of Robin, the origin of Kid Flash, or the origin of Speedy. It should be something that's easy to relate and easy for any 5-year-old to pretty much break down. And other things I want to do is, again, with the sorority concept, is I want to bring in Artemis, and I also want to bring back the Nubia character, because I see a lot of potential in both of them, and I see a way to give them both a voice, and then have them play off Diana, and really show that in a post-feminist society, there's more than one type of Wonder Woman. And the whole thing is that everybody needs friends, and that was one element that I always found that was missing from the Wonder Woman character. And one of the things I looked at in my own books, like your All About Marilyn's, or your Cassandra Cookbook, or the Thetas, or even many of the ISIS, or even this book back here. Let me get this one here. This book back here, All About Nikki, and the ISIS series, that you never saw Diana too much with her best friends or hanging out with her friends. And this is a story point that I really want to focus on, because I feel if you're going to write female characters, you have to really focus on interpersonal relationships and social relationships. And this is something that's really lacking, because I've read quite a few Wonder Woman comics, and it's a story point that's really not there. I mean, even when I watched Xena back in the day, the Xena Gabrielle friendship was one of the core elements of the series, and I really feel that relationships between women should be one of the core story points in a Wonder Woman comic. This is something that I feel that should be a core point. I mean, this is what's going to sell it, because relationships between women characters, that's a big point in every woman's life. Women have friends, they go out together, they hang out together. Some women have been friends for 15, 20 years. And this is something that I really want to put into a Wonder Woman comic, because I really want to make the character more relatable to women of today, someone they can identify with, in the same way many women have sat down and identified with this Nikki Desmond character and in All About Nikki. This was an international bestseller on Smashwords, and it's because I always make female characters that everybody can relate to and identify with. And I really want to see this character become more relatable and identifiable, because she has a great mission, she has a great message, and what I really want to do is, create a new slogan. I mean, for the ISIS series books, I always call Isis the goddess next door. Well, I would kind of modify that for the Wonder Woman character and call her the princess next door. I mean, the whole thing is that Disney princesses and all things like that. Here we have Princess Diana. She's the princess next door. She's always there for you. She's just a phone call or a knock on the door away, and she's always there to help. And just like Superman, she's a friend who is there to help people, those in need. And that's what I would like to do with this character in my proposed hypothetical Wonder Woman run. And maybe one of these days I could get a shot at it. I don't know. But these are some of the concepts that I had proposed. And I'm still doing many of these concepts right now with my ISIS series. And you can pretty much see all of these different stories, in the ISIS series. The ISIS series is available on paperback and Kindle Unlimited. But one of my goals, is to maybe one day take some of those concepts and bring them to a Wonder Woman run of comics, so that girls can have stories that they can relate to and identify with today, and have a hero that they can see as relevant to them today. Because I really feel that the character still has a lot of potential. Beyond being a historical context, she has all the potential to really stand out again as a beyond being a heroic icon, and she can be just as cool as Batman and Superman if she just had the right writer telling stories that were relevant to people today. And I would love to have the opportunity to work with this character and you know bring her bring her up for the 21st century, and just make her a fun, action-packed read that everyone can enjoy.